Game Club podcast for the month of February, I guess, is the one we're doing now, even though it's March 2018. My name is Mr. J.E. I am joined by Homemaster, Banguda, Bango Bajangles, and Who Bangs the Bango, aka the Great PP, aka HyperX Fury Mage Black. And we're going to talk a little Life is Strange. This was my pick. I was really excited to play this game. When we decided to do Game Club, we wanted to, tackle some narrative games, talk about how they tell the stories. And this is the first game that came to mind. One of the real reasons I wanted to do it too was because I had a friend of mine who games a little bit, not too much. Every now and then he'll game stuff. And his girlfriend doesn't game at all, really. But they actually watched a Life is Strange playthrough together on YouTube as like a couple, and they were like really entranced by it. So I think that kind of storytelling really, if it can appeal to even non-gamers, because it's just so cinematic, it was something that I wanted to experience too. So I'm glad we were able to do it for our second month. I think just kind of talk about what we're gonna do tonight. This, if you haven't heard of the game or played it, is an episodic game. So there are 5 episodes that came out. It came out years ago, though, so we had the benefit of having them all at once, which is good for playing through in a weekend or a week or however long you need. So I think we can just kind of talk about general initial thoughts on the game, and then maybe go through the episodes one by one. If you load up the game, you can actually, on the main screen, load up your choices. This game is all about choice making and how there are consequences in the game, and so we can kind of walk through those major ones at least, or anything else that kind of touched our fancy in those. So sound good? Make sense, guys?
Yep, sounds great.
All right, cool. All right, let's see. I will go ahead and pass it around. I just want to hear, I guess, general thoughts on the game, or anything that stood out to you. First and foremost, I guess, about the gameplay experience.
Before we totally kick it off, has everyone finished the game?
Good question.
I'm only 1 day in, so
episode 1.
We could do a spoiler-free version and then a version if you guys prefer. But yeah, I'd like to.
It's gonna get pretty spoilerific, I would have to say.
Yeah. I would imagine.
Yeah.
So.
I'm in episode 2.
I finished the whole game twice.
Yeah, I played the entire thing.
I played through. I'm almost done with my second one because I was playing for videos. Okay, cool. All right. So, Dan, you want to go first then?
Sure. I'm 1 day in, and the things that jump out at me is that I've played a lot of these adventure type games, and I really enjoy how fleshed out the environments actually are. A lot of times when you play these, there's just kind of lots of areas, lots of screens where there's just no content, and it's like even the graphics and the design of that particular area are pretty shoddy. But they did a really good job kind of filling all the space with content, and that's something I really appreciated, having played a lot of these sort of games. And I say these sort of games, I'm hesitant to say to like put this game in a family with other games. I can't really say I've played anything like it, but that's something that jumped out at me right away in my just very brief playthrough. The aesthetic's pretty cool. I'm not totally enamored with the high school drama stuff so far. I'm getting a little tired of it, to be honest. But I have a feeling that that's going to change. Yeah, that's my first salvo.
All right. Eric, Bango Bajangles.
Yeah, it's definitely not the type of game I typically play, but it is pretty interesting, I think. Seeing this kind of like high school experience through the eyes of a character that's different from myself, it's kind of interesting.
Could you expand on that? How she's different from you?
Just mainly how she's like more focused on photography and stuff like that. That's not really my interest.
All right, you were more into like sculpting and stuff, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Okay.
So, yeah, I mean, it's kind of cool, you know, like also like kind of seeing what it would be like to go through that school experience with this technology, you know, because we didn't actually have, you know, the internet and texting and stuff as prevalent when we were in high school. But yeah, I really didn't get that far, so you know, I'm kind of just listening and interested in seeing what happens.
It's definitely like kind of told from the perspective of it isn't like a stereotypical gaming personality, right? So you said that it's somebody that has is kind of different perspective and different interests from yourself. It's not, and it's not told from the perspective of somebody that a gamer would like really relate to directly or be a stereotypical kind of gaming hero, right? It's a really well fleshed out and solid a new perspective that you don't really see in games very often.
All right, Boyer, thoughts?
Is this just us admitting that we're old?
Yeah, I forgot to give the disclaimer that we're a bunch of 30-somethings.
Well, I'm much more
as
interested
David
in
pointed
hearing
out.
from the people who actually finished the game.
Yeah.
Than,
I mean,
I wanted to give y'all first chance, so since y'all had experienced less, but Boyer and David having played through it more, go ahead.
I mean, I actually found jumping ahead a little bit, I actually found the characters pretty relatable in a kind of this is very successful at evoking a lot of the feelings of being in whatever young teen years. I don't know. The ages are all kind of weird in this game, but that's that. It somehow still has the like. Some people feel like 13, and some people feel 25. That like TV show teenage,
Right.
like sitcoms.
Yeah,
have.
they even reference like, "Oh, you're an adult now," but she's supposed to be like
it's
18, right? And yeah.
Yeah, but no. In general, I like this game a lot. I did. I played the follow-up prequel thing, and I like that too. We can talk about that later, at least a little bit. But yeah, no, I thought it was really interesting. I'm not super into like adventure games per se most of the time, and this game does a really good job of kind of finding that middle ground between an adventure game and kind of the modern whatever Telltale style.
Right.
Yeah, it's to your point, they're relatable in the sense that like it's these characters that are going through this period in your life, and then like I'm sitting here and I'm actually thinking about that time for me and the decisions I made and that sort of thing. So it's pretty relatable in that sense.
Yeah. Real quick before we go to David, are people sounding robotic to anybody, or is it just me?
Sounds fine to me.
Okay.
Sounds fine to me.
All right. Let me just switch the server real quick. Like.
He sounds robotic to me.
Hello.
Can we do a Cylon check? Is the Cylon test working?
I am not a Cylon.
I guess I'll also say like I find mechanically this game is interesting. Like it has a functional mechanic at its center that works both thematically and as a play experience, kind of together, which I think a lot of adventure games also have trouble with. So
How
yeah,
so
I
how
thought
do you,
that was good.
How do you think it works thematically? Is it kind of like a thought wheel to you, or what do you? How did you view it?
When you're a teenager, right, you wish you had the chance to go back and fix everything you did because you're just learning how to
Oh gosh, now I'm losing everything.
Someone bestowed you with the power to take it back. What would you do with that?
Did David
And
cut
I
out
think-
for anyone except me?
I cut out for about 4 seconds there.
Yeah.
Wow.
So much for
Okay.
changing servers, huh?
Yeah. But yeah, no, it's really about. I think that's maybe a big focus of this game, right? Because that's why they chose a teenager to do this, because that you really wish you could take
Houston
back.
floods.
And it
We
plays
all
well
know
as
that.
thematically. I agree
Austin
with Boyer in that. If that's what you're going with, Boyer, that's how I see it.
Yeah, I mean, I thought that aspect of it works better than the like weird, whatever, supernaturally thematic version. Like, it works better as kind of a metaphor than it does as a like literal thematic element.
Yeah.
Right.
Let me check the server real quick. One sec. Okay, I think I changed it. Okay, whatever. It didn't drop this, but all right. David, thoughts?
So I'm looking at my timeline in this game, right? Because I remember I played this in like 2015 or something like that, right? So I went back to see what I was playing at that time because, to your point about what I would consider spousal significant other gaming, Christy, my wife, was very interested in trying to see what games I was playing. So I was playing like Uncharted 3. She didn't watch that. I was playing The Walking Dead Season 1. She thought that was incredible. She loved the ending for that one. Anyone out there who hasn't played it, you should play it. Then I did The Wolf Among Us, Walking Dead 2, and then I got to this, Life is Strange. And I said, this is going to be just as good. So she watches it, she sees it, and the first thing she says is, I can't stand how they talk. Like, I literally can't take it. You just have to tell me what the dialogue is because I'm not going to tune in all the time. But that's fine. That's fine. And that, so, you know,
Yeah, that
to
was
us,
a strong point.
right. To us evoking like how it feels, and reviews have touched on this, it does feel like it's like a 25, 30-year-old male thinking how 16-year-old girls talk. It can be a little bit like cringe, but at the same time, I mean, teenage years are cringe, right? Like, let's not exclude that fact. And so I found it thrilling the whole way through. I've mentioned before in the previous game club, I'm a huge adventure game and narrative fan, and I think everything was great about this. And we can dive in deeper into the points now. What you got, John?
Yeah. Well, I want to share my thoughts real quick. I first I was surprised that it said my gameplay experience would be enhanced with a controller. I wasn't expecting that. I was expecting more of a Telltale type thing, where it's just kind of point and click.
What enhances it exactly? Because I'm not using a controller. So.
I don't know. It's just a little smoother, I guess. The button pressing.
I guess the rotation thing.
The rotation, yeah. You just press a button instead. So it's like a quality of life thing more than anything else. I really enjoyed. Just lost my train of thought. Okay, so the whole time move mechanic, I like how it worked. Freaking ads keep popping up. I don't know if that's doing it for y'all too, but every now and then I hear someone talking, a video playing. Okay, but I enjoyed the time moving backwards. Yeah, I think it gave me, like, just that option, that mechanic gave me the chance to pause and think about my decisions, because I know, like, in David and I had talked about this prior to Game Club even starting, and Boyer, I think you and I are the same in this respect, that I usually, when I play a game like this, I tend to make decisions that I personally would make, not necessarily what I think the character would make, so I try to really put myself in their shoes, and so I tend to like a lot of time to think about these decisions. And when I played some Telltale games and it was like split-second decisions, I think that's a cool mechanic because it, you know, fits like the scene at the time. But sometimes I like to think about, you know, what's going on, because I need a little time to process everything, because it's not happening to me firsthand. So I like that I could even turn back time if I didn't like the decision. Because with games like these, you know, you get like a forward prompt about, you know, what you're going to say or do. And sometimes you're thinking something completely different than the prompt says, and you end up sounding like a butthole with like your response, and you're like, oh, that's not what I meant to say at all. And in other games, you just kind of have to go with that. But in this one, at least you could kind of rewind and fix it. So yeah.
A lot of times the prompt will be like some action, and you're like, okay, yeah, I want to do that, and then what they say is not what you had in mind for that action.
Exactly. Yeah. So I even in this game that happened a couple of times, but at least I could kind of rectify it. So. All right, let's go ahead and get started with episode 1. And so I think this video that I have here is the ending scene to the first day, so I can kind of jog our memory on what we saw. So I'm going to go ahead and put that on the stream, and I'll make that a little bigger. Whoop, wrong one. And if you guys want to pull up the Let's Watch Together, you'll be able to see it. And it should start playing in a second. Is it playing? It's not playing.
There we go.
There we go.
Excuse me.
Okay, so the end of the first day, it snows, and even though it's like 80 degrees outside, it takes place in Oregon. It shows Victoria, the principal, Professor Jefferson, Mark Jefferson, the famous photographer. Is that Nathan with his camera? Yeah. Okay. That was not the best video to show. Oh, and then there's this little teaser, like straight out of a Marvel movie. It shows these videos with these names, and the last name on there is Rachel. Now, Rachel shows up as a girl who has disappeared. Alright, stop playing that. So, basically in the first episode, you kind of get to know who these characters are, and she first discovers her power, that she can rewind time. She does that by saving this girl in the bathroom from getting shot by Nathan Prescott. So, if we look at our choices, actually I'll pull up our choices right here. So the choices that you can make in the first episode, which is Chrysalis, is you can either report Nathan to the principal or hide the truth about him having a gun. So what did you guys do?
Oh, I snitched on his ass. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, I reported him.
I'm surprised it's 2-1. It really should be more.
I didn't snitch.
I did hide the first time, and then I rewound it and did snitch, and then I rewound it again.
Yeah,
I mean,
I definitely snitched the first time, but then I redid it because I realized that whatever his family owned the city.
I definitely snitched on him too, because again, that's probably what I would do in real life. It's like, oh, trust the authority to like fix the situation here, right? But later I got scalded by Chloe for like being like an elementary student, which makes sense. I'm an elementary teacher, but for like believing that, oh, you know, sure, justice will come to them if you just tell on them, sort of thing. Okay, so that was the first major choice. I mean, were you guys worried about the animosity that it would create with Nathan, or what caused you to snitch on him?
To not snitch.
Or not snitch, I guess, yeah.
Yeah, that was it. I mean, I got the sense from all the like material I'd read that there's a delicate social hierarchy and that I would have to navigate. So yeah, that's why I chose not to.
Well, I guess I got the feeling when I did snitch, from whatever the guy said, that nothing was actually going to happen. But you know, this guy who had a gun would probably find out and come after me. So, you know. And also just, you know, because it was a game, I felt like I could choose other choices that I might do in real life.
Okay.
Also, snitches get stitches. We all know this.
Good point.
This is true. But snitches can't normally rewind time, so I felt a little safe. At this point in the game, I felt safe to do stuff like that. It was only later on that I felt like if it affected other people around me, then I had to be a little more careful. So.
I mean, the choices in this game, like this one, ultimately, I'm trying to think of like what the impact of this choice makes in the following episodes, but it does give you like kind of an easy one, I guess, for the first one.
Yeah.
And it's not really like super significant. You don't have to really worry too much.
It's not. I think he like harasses you through texts, and that's basically kind of it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna try to pull up that website. I had it earlier.
This isn't one of the critical ones, you would say. There are probably 2 or 3 mega decisions that are made in this game.
Yeah.
And luckily you don't have to worry right here.
Yeah.
I thought there was more to this first decision. Like, what? Don't you also get in trouble for being in the bathroom or something like that?
If you hide
Because
the
in order
truth.
to call Nathan out, you have to admit that you were there.
Right.
I think
Well,
all the parties know that you were in the bathroom.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter what your
You've already gotten in trouble for
Yeah.
being late.
Apparently, if you hide the truth, Nathan figures out that you were in the bathroom and tries to intimidate you. But Chloe's glad that you didn't report him. So, and you don't get your room vandalized, so or leave something in your room. Yeah. Okay, next decision. Victoria gets the paint on her when she was sitting on the steps with their all Mean Girls act. How many of you guys made fun of her? Apparently, I might have been the only one.
I don't think I made fun of her.
Yeah, I did not.
No, I was.
I mean,
Nice.
I wanted to. I wanted to, because she's clearly just a complete asshole. But this was clearly their attempt to, like, sympathize her a little bit, right? Like, that feels like a kind of an arc over the entire game, without spoilers for those of you who haven't gotten there. But you kind of decide how much sympathy you want to have for certain characters or not. And this was probably an early moment of me being like, well, she's an asshole, but she's, I don't know, I guess I'll like err on the side of being nice. I don't know if that was actually a good decision or not.
Okay. Go ahead, Eric.
I was just going to say,
Dan,
can we name this group the Vortex Club?
Yes, please. So I made fun of her. I guess I was feeling brave at that point, like just having discovered my powers and stuff. So I wasn't really scared of her. I wanted to dish back, and this is like one of the few instances where I was like, well, I'll actually have my character do something that I probably wouldn't do in real life, just to kind of stick it to her, sort of thing. And again, it was similar to the first one. The only thing is she got like pissed at me, sent me like harassment emails, and she vandalized my room the next day. She wrote something about being a whore or something. I don't know.
Yeah, she's pretty bad. I think it's totally legitimate to like laugh in her face for this.
Oh yeah.
But basically, so your room got vandalized twice.
Well, like once all the stuff got knocked over, and then she wrote on my wall. I don't know what was her or what was Nathan, to be honest. She eventually stole the picture out of my room too, because I found it in her dorm room. So.
Well, I think Victoria overall, and maybe jumping ahead a little bit, I mean, her arc is a little bit better as a character, better developed than Nathan. So, comforting her, like what happens at the end of the game with her is definitely traumatizing, and she deserves the I don't know, a little bit of benefit of the doubt, I guess, more so than Nathan. Nathan's just straight up an asshole. So.
Oh yeah, for sure. That becomes more apparent later on. She's definitely more sympathetic. All right, moving on, because there are a lot of these. Okay, so towards the end, when you're like leaving the dorms, you see David Madsen, the security guard, harassing Kate. You can either take a picture or intervene. Now, I first took a photo, and then Kate got like upset with me for not doing anything, so I ran around and intervened. That was one of the few times where I really, with the major decision, kind of went back on it, and it seems like everyone kind of intervened. Is that correct?
Yeah, I would agree.
Yeah, I think I did the same as you.
Yeah, I think I did too.
Then ended up intervening.
Yeah, I intervened.
Yeah,
and I think this is a key choice. This is one of those key choices you have to make.
Yep, for sure. Because
that's right before you find out that security guards, whatever, dating.
Married to Chloe's mom.
It's interesting that they threw a major choice in after kind of two training wheels choices that didn't have real serious immediate consequences, and then that choice is also like Kate and the security guard are two pretty undeveloped characters at that point in the game. I'm just saying this because it's really fresh in my mind because I was playing it today. But I made that and I was like, these two you guys are saying it's a major decision, and I'm like, these two characters like are really tangential to me right now.
Yeah,
I agree with that.
Well, I mean, in some ways that seems very intentional. Like the game will force you to make a decision about something, and then it's like, hey, look at your assumptions. Now let's like, you made this real gut decision about these people, even if you thought it through, and now, hey, here's like the next layer of this thing.
Right, which is, I love that aspect of the game, because I mean it's kind of real life, right? We don't know exactly what's going to happen. We can only just what we feel is the best decision at the time off of what we know. So okay, apparently if you don't intervene, then what happens at the end of episode 2, which we'll get to later, it becomes a lot harder. So, but we'll talk about that. All right, the last major decision is when you're hiding in the closet, and the security guard David comes into Chloe's room, and he finds that she was smoking weed. So it seems like nobody here came out and blamed Chloe. Your other option was to stay hidden in the closet, or you can come out to intervene, or you can come out and take the blame for Chloe. So, Dan, what did you do?
I stayed in the closet.
Stayed in the closet. Eric?
I think I came out and blamed Chloe.
No one blamed Chloe. I'm pretty sure. My friends list says 0%. I think you took the blame for her then?
No. Pretty sure I did. Let me open it up.
Okay. Boyer?
I took the blame.
Oh, you took the blame. Okay.
Yeah.
David?
I came out of hiding.
Okay. So I'm not.
I took the blame initially, and then the guy was like, "Oh, I'm gonna kick you out of school." So I was like, "Oh, well, you know, I got more to lose, so I blamed it on her."
Interesting.
I think at that point I was
actually
already...
no, never mind. So I guess in the end I chose you stayed hidden. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think at that point I was already like, this Chloe character is way more interesting, and I like this character more than the other characters. And because I had previously like intervened and called him out during the Kate thing, I was like, this guy already hates me.
Exactly.
Doesn't matter. Like, he already thinks I'm a terrible. Like, me coming out and admitting to this doesn't matter at all.
See,
to touch
Go ahead,
touch on that. It's funny you say that Chloe's a better character. She is more dynamic and definitely the impetus of everything in this entire story. But Max, they chose a more conservative character for Max because someone who's walking around and making decisions and observing things with a more neutral personality is something that can fit most people. But Chloe is kind of a firebrand, right? And that kind of gets into the prequel, which we'll jump into, which I have thoughts on. Yeah.
So I stayed hidden only because I thought, again, thinking, okay, what would Chloe want me to do in this situation? And since she seemed more concerned with hiding me than hiding the weed, I decided to do what she wanted and stay hidden. So we forgot to go over the most important decision from this chapter. I forgot. I skipped it. It's when you're in the dormitories. Did you touch Dana's pregnancy tests?
I did.
You did?
Oh yeah, I did.
Chris.
I did, and I rewound.
I click everything.
What did it say? Was she pregnant?
She. Oh, I don't think I got to look at it. I thought she just flipped out, and
She flips out.
I don't know if in the cutscene it shows the like bar on the pregnancy test.
Ah, okay.
But
Yeah.
then I looked around and I was like, there's all this medical stuff, and I was like, okay.
Oh, apparently if you touch and rewound, Dana will admit her pregnancy and confide in Max.
Yep. It's you want to use that move forward and back a lot, because then you get a lot of extra dialogue.
Yeah, which I don't think I remembered all the time when I played through. Like, especially if there was like a long time between playthroughs, I would kind of forget some mechanics or what the little icons meant. So, one thing I will say about episode 1, I kind of felt after this, like some of the decisions, particularly when I made fun of Victoria, I felt like my choice didn't matter as much as far as sculpting the character of Max, because even though I made fun of Victoria because I wanted to, the character would like internally kind of regret that decision and feel bad about it and have some remorse, even though me as a player, I didn't really feel that. So I still felt like I was kind of being led in a certain way who Max is.
I think that leads into the reversion to the norm that I'm talking about. Like, they want Max to be a neutral character. Right? This is not an 80-day situation where there's like a whole spectrum of statistics they're trying to track of. They're literally writing a story as they go along. They haven't figured out how it's going to end by chapter 1. So they have to keep it open, I guess you'd say.
True.
That's the limitation of an episodic format like this, I would think.
All right, let's try to fly through this a little faster because I know it's already been about 30 minutes or so. Okay, episode 2. So this will be spoilers, Dan.
Yeah, I'm gonna drop off.
Okay, all right. Well, I hope you enjoy the game.
I'll check back in later.
Okay.
All right.
All right. Later, Dan. Thanks for joining. Okay, episode 2. Out of time. Major decision 1. Kate. So the whole thing with Kate's viral video comes out. You can tell her to go to the police or wait for more proof. I think maybe only one of us told Kate to go to the police. Who was that?
see, these statistics here don't account for me because I'm actually played this on PS4.
Yeah. Okay.
So, yeah. But I think I recall telling Kate to go to the police.
So how did that work out? Yeah, I told her to wait too.
Yeah, it just helps towards the ending sequence of this. She'll thank you for it, and she'll say that that she appreciates that you're looking out for her. But I don't think it actually, if I recall her correctly, I don't think it actually goes well for her. But she appreciates that you tried to do that.
She definitely seemed kind of pissed, like I wasn't supportive when I told her that. But my decision to tell her to wait was definitely sculpted by my earlier interactions with the game, when I told on Prescott and nothing happened. So I thought, well, to save her, like in the short term, she might be pissed at me, but in the long term, I think it'll help her out, which is why I went that direction.
Yeah, exact same for me. I was like, look, I just ratted on this guy in the previous one and nothing happened, and all the authority figures are total bullshit.
Yeah.
So what good is this going to do?
Yeah.
Channeling the teenage angst, right?
They really guilt you in game for not helping her. Like Max keeps having like second thoughts, like, oh, maybe I should have helped her out more,
Right, and I thought that meant it was like trying to get me to go in one direction, but actually, like, if you would rewind and make the other decision, she'll question that decision too.
Yeah.
So whatever decision you make, she does that.
Yeah, I noticed that with some of the different decisions when I kind of tried out a different route. I was like, with both ones, she has second thoughts. So
it's just cool because then the game's kind of
there's
playing
not
mind
like
games
a right.
with you. It's like, because I'm sure some people would go through it and just make a decision like quickly with not even maybe thinking about it, but having the character have those thoughts for you kind of makes you think about it a little more too, like, oh, what's gonna happen. So okay, later you're in the diner with Chloe and you get a phone call from Kate. Who did not answer it? Did anyone not answer it?
No, I answered that phone.
I answered it. Yeah.
Did you?
Initially I didn't answer it, but then I went back and did.
Okay, yeah, so I answered it too. I mean, obviously you got a depressed friend, probably want to answer that, which would have made it very hard at the end. Okay, how many people shot Frank later on in the junkyard? This drug dealer comes up with a knife. Did anyone try to shoot him?
I didn't try to shoot him.
Nope.
Why not?
I shot him.
It didn't really fit into Max's character, right? And so it comes back again to, like, do you want to play it as yourself or as Max, right?
Mm-hmm.
The story, and this is maybe jumping ahead again, but towards the ending of this it's where I think the game creators felt like they had a little too much control on how they felt the narrative should go.
Mm-hmm.
So I tried to play as if the character, and then it turns out that that's what they had in mind all along.
Right, because even if you want to shoot him, you have to think, well, is she actually going to be able to shoot him, or is it going to make the situation worse? So, which I'm guessing, Eric, when you shot him, did you actually hit him?
Well, when I shot him, the gun didn't have any bullets, so I didn't kill him. I didn't do it. Nothing happened. He was just like, "Ha, I'll remember that. I hate you. I'll remember you tried to kill me." And I'm like, but Chloe's like, "Oh, thanks for standing up for me, Mac. I'm glad you were willing to do that." But yeah, I guess like also I realized like when I go through the game, because I knew that I could reverse every decision, I would actually intentionally choose what I might not normally choose in a game first, because I fully intended to reverse it and then choose the other one, if you know what I mean.
Right. Well, I mean, basically,
so I definitely went into every choice with the approach of knowing I would listen to both outcomes.
Yeah. And this game has like a little like behind this curtain hearts mechanic, where basically your actions kind of give you a rating with certain characters. So that was definitely one of them. So I guess if you stood up for Chloe, then that made her like you more.
Well, yeah, and if you don't fire the gun, he takes the gun, right?
Yep, and then you have this crazy drug dealer
Chloe
with a gun.
doesn't have a gun, and that guy does have a gun.
Yeah, which changes things that happens in the future too. So
yeah,
it's a fairly significant choice.
It is. Yeah.
I also recall there were some decisions. I think in episode 1 there was one decision where it immediately went into a cutscene and then saved. So like there was actually a decision you couldn't reverse. I forget which one that was, but that really caught me off guard and kind of frustrated me because, like I said, I would go into the decisions intending to choose what I probably wouldn't end up picking. And then that one, it just kind of like made me stick with it. I was like, okay, well.
Oh, that's surprising. I don't remember that one. All right. Okay. One of the big dramatic things, which I think probably draws in a lot of people who are playing the game. I know we're going through these kind of quickly, talking about the decisions, but this was a major moment. Like Kate being on the roof of the dormitories, going the jump. Did you guys? I don't know. Me, like I had to rewind before she hit the ground. I don't know. Did she actually hit the ground? I couldn't bear to like hear the sound or anything like that.
Yeah, she hits the ground because I did not save her. I messed up on one of the dialogue choices, and I did not feel like going back to fix it. I was like, whatever, let's just ride with this.
Oh, so she actually died in your playthrough?
No, she did not.
Oh.
She will get heavily injured and be incapacitated for the rest of the game. But she will Max will carry that weight for the rest of the game about how she was unable to save one person who needed help's life, and it feeds into the narrative a little bit, I would say.
Wow. Huh. That's impressive. Interesting then.
And I want to take an aside here, if you don't mind, about the video gamey portion of this part right here, right? So she has a supernatural power. She can do whatever the fuck she wants, and then all of a sudden, she just can't.
Right. It's like, and it's the only, as far as I know, like the only time in the game that really happens, right?
Yeah, there are other times where she's having difficulty controlling, but that makes more sense. That would be in episode 5, for example.
Yeah.
But in this instance, there is literally no impetus or explanation that would cause her to be able to do this, aside from, quote, severe stress or something like whatever they said it was.
Her nosebleeds and stuff.
Yeah, like using it too much or something. I'm like, come on, man.
But it does, I guess, make everything feel weightier, because maybe at that point, she has kind of debating, like, how, not debating, but she's curious how strong her powers are, and maybe even you as a player are getting a little cocky, thinking, oh, anything I can go ahead and just change and reverse, and all of a sudden that's not an option anymore. And that starts playing into later on her mentality too. As she goes into situations, she doesn't feel invincible, and she's always worried that the same thing could happen again. So I think it adds some tension to the story.
Right.
Man, that sucks to watch her jump then.
Yeah, it was pretty traumatic. My wife was not available to watch it, but I did make her watch the scene again later after I finished. I'm like, this is what happened. This was pretty significant, and you missed out on it.
Yeah. Yeah, that was definitely up there in like the top 3 or 5 scenes. I was like, whoa.
It's very, very visually evocative when you see her just like falling off the roof. It's like your finger immediately goes to the reverse time button. It's like, nah, and then it's very satisfying to watch her go back upwards.
Yeah, I think even the camera like follows her as it moves down, like automatically follows her.
That's also the
end
time.
of episode 2.
It's the penultimate scene.
Yeah.
So I haven't actually finished it.
I think when I rewound, I didn't rewind all the way enough, so she started falling again, and I was like, oh crap. So,
that's also the part where it feels super like god powery. It's like you're not just like reversing time, it's like, no, you're changing the laws of physics, like you're like not just going back to see what someone's gonna say, you're like stopping someone from like dying.
Yeah.
Like literally
ceasing
dying.
Their existence on the timeline,
Yeah.
Although this started to get me to question, like, how come nobody like is wondering about how things work? I'm curious what it looks like when she moves time from other people's perspective, because she's in the classroom with everyone else when this happens, and everyone runs out to the dormitories. But when she reverses time, all of a sudden she's on the roof. Yeah. So did people not make that connection that she was with them in the room and somehow she got up there on the roof before she could actually jump? I don't know.
Yes.
Some of the behavior should appear like teleporting too.
Right, exactly.
Because she stays in the same place as she manipulates time.
Yes.
I think in general, though, the game does a pretty good job of avoiding like big plot hole gap things like that. Like, yeah, you can wonder how it works, but it's not like, hey, this is a serious detractor from my enjoyment of the game.
Oh, yeah,
at least for me.
Yeah, no, agreed. Okay, and then I blame Nathan for sure. Screw that guy, but
Yeah, screw that guy.
Yeah.
no, I see someone blame Mr. Jefferson. Was that any of y'all, or was that like a rewind situation, or what?
I don't know. That wasn't me. I blame Nathan.
I guess it wasn't Eric then, huh? All right, well, I'm curious to see how that would have gone.
I guess I can't see my choices because I haven't finished that episode.
Yeah, probably not. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
That scene felt very important too. That was like a making, like, you don't have all the information and you know you don't have all the information, but you're still making like a huge drastic claim about someone that you know is going to have big repercussions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right, let me see if I can pull up the next video. Let's see, where is it? I don't know if this is the right one or not. Actually, this webpage might be lagging for me.
Is it the second link you need, or
Yeah, can you play the second one? Is it the second one?
looks like it? What minute do you want it at?
It's already set.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, I
'Cause
copied it
wasn't-
to the URL for the correct one. It should be correct.
Nah, it just started at 0.
All right, forget it. It's lagging on my screen anyway, so well. Okay. Chapter 3. So what happens after this is you break into the principal's office with Chloe.
All right, I'm gonna drop off now,
Okay.
All right.
as I have not played these chapters. So
All right.
Yep.
Well, it's
Later.
good. I appreciate that guys want to, experience the game for themselves. So you do that.
Yeah.
All right.
I'll listen in as well.
Okay.
Good game.
GG.
Gee.
See ya.
Okay. Most important question in chapter 3: did you kiss Chloe?
I mean, of course.
Of course.
Yeah, of course.
Like they're in the little booty shorts. Like, yeah, you're gonna make them kiss.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see.
Obviously, I sided with Chloe.
Yeah,
This was
everything
like this is the Chloe city, right?
Mhm.
Like, you
Yeah.
this is you joining Team Chloe, like, for real.
Yeah.
correct. Yep.
Yeah. I briefly thought about siding with David, if only to calm the situation down, because I was also starting to get a little tired of Chloe, like, always being like pissed off with like every comment that anybody makes about anything. And I felt like she was just like, dude, like, you don't have to start a fight every time. So I kind of wanted to be like, chill a little bit.
No. She hella needed to start all the fights.
Well, I think you're also starting to get the hints that, like, there may be more to David than just like asshole military guy
Yeah.
dad.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
you're like, well, Chloe's clearly my BFF, but I also see that she's not necessarily 100% right all the time.
Right.
Right.
I also started being a little more aware of that this was a video game around here, because I thought, oh, the game's like trying to like initially make me think that he's like a jerk, but I feel like at the end of the game, he's gonna come out and be like, oh, like the guy who like turns around and he's gonna be like your best buddy and you're gonna be cheering for him, kind of thing. So
is that what you thought was gonna happen?
I did, amazingly enough. So and it paid off. So yeah, I mean, I just kind of, it's just like some of the scenes they show where he's like more remorseful and more calm, and yeah. So did somebody all hurt Frank's dog? Did y'all actually throw the bone in the street?
Hell no.
Okay.
Hell no.
Who's gonna hurt a damn dog?
It says
All right,
50% of my friends did it, so I don't know.
Hell no.
Okay.
Dude,
There
that's
must-
like the classic, like, hey, you got like a good choice, good path, bad path. Like, do you want to like
Dark side,
save
light
this
side.
orphan child, or do you want to like
Steal-
skin it and eat its body? It's like, well, this isn't really a choice. I
No,
mean,
it's like
come on.
help the orphan get out of the cave or grab the treasure chest instead, sort of thing, right? Yeah. Okay. I gave the gun back to Chloe. I felt bad that it got taken. I felt like she might need it, and I didn't want Frank to have the gun, so I took the gun and gave it to Chloe.
Yeah,
Yep.
definitely.
Which
Yep.
I think
No.
later in episode 4 did matter, but it didn't matter because you could rewind it. I know in the later scene where she pulls it on him, she actually kills him. Well, she kills the dog first and then kills him, and I was like, what the F? But you can get through that scene without any violence if you just get rid of the gun. So I don't know. That one feels like one of the decisions that's not that big of a deal. I don't know what happens if he keeps it, though.
So there is a way. I think, if I remember correctly, because I get confused both times I played it. I did not do any violence, but I believe
Yeah.
she had the gun one time, and you can do it still. So yeah, it's okay.
Yeah, that's not big.
Okay.
Yeah, I managed to get out of that with anyone getting hurt either.
Okay.
And she definitely had the gun.
Okay. But this was the end of episode 3 was like pretty crazy because that's when she discovers she can look at pictures and go back in time to those pictures, and she actually saves Chloe's dad.
Yeah. This is where it starts getting into like kind of lore land, where it's like, what are the outer limits of my abilities, and what are the broader consequences of like doing this? Like, can I screw around with time, the time continuum, and get out okay, or is it gonna just totally fuck things up?
Right. This is also the episode where you're still piecing together as the Rachel, because the big arc is what happened to Rachel, and going into the Frank situation that adds a whole new color to what's going on, and it starts making it raise a lot of, I guess, interesting questions. I don't know if they're great questions. I'll just say interesting for that factor, but they're trying to muddy the waters about what actually is happening. I think this episode was actually really good, though. The bonding between Max and Chloe, the prove it to me portion of it was actually quite interesting. It's like, how do you prove something to someone when you have such a supernatural power that they will not know the effects? But Chloe's willing to take that leap of faith. That shows that how well these two characters are written for each other. I greatly enjoyed it.
Well, I mean, I think it's really interesting. Like, you look at the choice things there, and it's like there weren't any like huge OMG choices, really, but that's because it's more of a like character bonding piece. And that felt really good. It felt good to have an episode that was like, yeah, this isn't like just like back-to-back action. It's like, no, this is a more kind of like meditative, let's like look at what teenage life is like a little bit.
And it really draws on the strength of what I think, the reason why I think this episode is the highest rated one on Metacritic or whatever, but this episode really draws on what people want to see. If there is compelling main characters, they want to see the relationship grow. They don't have to see the action, right? So going swimming, for example, is like, that's so boring, but it's not boring. It elaborates on the character. It's similar to how, in The Walking Dead, the best scenes are when you are actually just being with, when you're, I forgot the two characters' names. Oh my goodness! When you're with the dad and the child daughter character,
Clementine,
and the dad. I can't remember the name.
Whatever.
Dad's name. Yeah, whatever. No one cares about him, right? Those are the most enriching and nourishing scenes, and I think this episode had a ton of those.
Yeah. Plus, you get to watch like two 19-year-old girls swim in their underwear. So
might be a little gratuitous.
Are they? They're not. Are they 19?
I think.
Are these kids?
I think Chloe's 19, and I think Max is 18, because they talk about it's been 5 years since she left when she was 13, right? Didn't they say
Chloe is older. Chloe's like a year.
But Max is a 12th grader, so yeah, she's 18.
Yeah,
she's 18.
So I think it's the 1918.
Yeah, I mean, just as an aside, like the fact that like the main character is like constantly going on about selfies, I was just like, oh, I feel ancient. This is an ancient person thing.
It's funny because she seemed like she would like know what she was talking about, and gave the impression she knew what she was talking about when she would talk about other people's art and stuff. Like she had studied a lot of it, but then she still just took a bunch of selfies. So I don't know.
Yeah, but I mean, look at her photo, right? Her photo that eventually will win her the award is like the anti-selfie, but it's a selfie. And it's like, oh my god,
it's a meta selfie.
It's a meta selfie.
I can't handle this garbage.
Okay, well, at the end, it goes. She puts Chloe in a wheelchair. That was interesting. Apparently, you guys did y'all accept Chloe's request at the beginning of episode 4 when she asked to be euthanized, essentially?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh yeah, dude. She does not want to live that way.
Yeah,
There's
no.
no way.
Okay, so what happened when you did that?
She dies,
Yeah.
and then you go back.
Oh,
That's it. This choice literally had no consequence, right?
right,
This one was
exactly.
to me, this is an obvious one, right? There's no consequence. You can't be in this timeline. You have to go back to the original timeline. So
Yeah.
I'm like, well, let's just end it for her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No way. That shocking ending in episode 3 like had me
Mhm.
reeling all the way to wait for episode 4. I'm like, I gotta fix this. This is no good.
Yeah, I was really curious. Well, first of all, I was curious because I was like, wait, did my first 3 episodes not even matter then? Because I'm going to be in a different timeline this whole time. I didn't realize I would be able to like keep going back to the pictures at that point. So I thought this was going to be my timeline. So I refused to request. I don't know. I guess since this Chloe didn't know about my powers and maybe what I could do to fix it, I felt like euthanizing her wouldn't necessarily be the best long-term decision, even if she kind of hated me for it at the moment. But I don't know. I guess maybe this goes back to like how you would play the character and how it relates to you in real life too. So I don't know. But we don't.
Our schools.
I think to some degree, though, it was like kind of a self-contained decision. Because it's like I know the long-term consequences of this are irrelevant. Like, what would I do in this moment without having to worry about consequences? Because I'm just going to change time anyway. Like, yeah, I would just clearly do what she wants me to do.
Okay. All right. Well, let's see. Later in this episode, you confront Nathan again. Warren beats him up, which was kind of cool. I like Warren a lot. I don't know how y'all felt about Warren as a character.
God, Warren is the fucking worst. Warren is the worst. Every time I had anything to do with Warren, I was like, get out of my face. I hated that guy.
But why? Why did you hate him so much?
He's like,
Do you hate me,
he's-
Boyer? Do you hate me? 'Cause I feel like if you hate Warren, you hate me.
Warren? Why would you like Warren?
No, it's not about liking him. It's about sympathizing with him.
I
right?
don't sympathize with him. He
This is
doesn't. He doesn't get it.
This is a common thing that happened in was in the early ones. In the early reviews of this game, this was a common theme. People didn't like Warren because they found him to be creepy and to be inappropriate and to be super cringe. But dude, he's a teenage boy who has no idea how to hit on a girl.
Yeah, but like I was like, where is my option to just tell Warren to fuck off? Like seriously, get out of my life. I never want to see you again.
But-
like I want that
right.
option.
I
And
agree.
I kept trying to give him that message, and he never got it.
But
And he kept trying, and I'm like, Warren, this is never gonna happen, dude. Like, come on, just back off.
So
and
you
he
can-
would still be annoying.
you can actually send him that signal and basically turn, because I don't know if that's one of the decisions where it's like it's gonna happen anyways in the story, but I don't know. I said I would go to the drive-in with him, but
I rejected him. I did stop him also, which I think also negatively affects sorry, not negatively affects, it alters the ending portion. But yeah, it was like
yeah. I
no,
stopped
no
him.
beating up. That's ridiculous. He does
I
go
stopped him.
real. He goes real ape on that. That's pretty crazy. How
If you let him
Yeah,
keep
much
going.
yeah, how much? No, you can rewind that one, right? That one's I
Right.
remember seeing it, and I was like, man, this guy's crazy.
It's also just like this game feels like a very kind of like it's trying to evoke that like a weird millennial version of like girl power, riot girl stuff.
Mhm.
And there's no room for boys like Warren in that world. There's not. Like, he just needs to get out. Like, this is not his story. It's not his world. He has no place here. Ugh.
I think it kind of
Worst.
humanized Max a little bit because it I don't know, just showed her as like a normal teenage girl who has there's this boy who has a crush on her. I don't know if y'all realize too, looking at his files in the principal's office, but he's actually younger. I think he's a year younger than them.
Oh, I didn't know that.
So I think that probably plays into his personality a little bit more. I don't know. I liked him. I thought he was a sweet guy who just liked her and wanted to hang out with her, and I don't think he reminds me of high school me a lot. You know, like pining after these girls, the nice guy, the friend.
That's so tragic.
just based on day one playing, my impression is pretty creepy as well.
Okay, in fairness, I was a guy who, like, in high school, even into college, I remember one of my, like, mentors, she told me, like, if you like a girl, don't be like one of those creepy guys who just likes a girl and never tells her. Like, you have to, like, do something about it or, like, move on. So I realized I was a creepy liker for a while.
I think, not that I personally did anything that Nathan did, right? I mean, I wish I had the courage to do a lot of what he did.
Wait, Nathan or Warren?
Sorry, Warren. I did.
Like, whoa.
Yeah, I wish I shot some chicks up, God, in the restroom. Jeez, no. I definitely don't think that Warren warrants even the bad behavior. I think he's fine. I think he honestly is evocative of, if we're going to talk about everything that's bad about teenage culture, because this game is trying to pick apart everything about what we hated about high school, what we loved about high school. The guy the unrequited love from the side of the female is something that should be taken into consideration, and that's where this falls into play. Max smoothly deals with the situation, or maybe even goes further depending on your actions later in the game. It just comes down to how you feel like a character like that deserves to get their just dues, or maybe you want to just ride with what the story says, what the story creators want, which is clearly one particular ending.
Maybe it's also because, like, this wasn't like, hey, let's channel the feeling of being that guy in high school. It was, let's channel the feeling of being on the receiving end of that guy's advances. And it's like, no, I do not want that.
But see, like,
definitely not.
For me, when he asked me to go to the drive-in, like, I said yes, and so I never really got the feeling that my Max in my playthrough, like, didn't like him, or that it was unreciprocated. So, like, she was very positive in all her responses after that. Like, yeah, I'll see you then, and stuff like that. I don't know. So,
yeah, no, I mean, I wonder how much the dialogue and stuff changes, because mine, she was still way more positive towards him than I wanted her to be.
I don't really see a way to, like, kind of receive his advances entirely positively, Like, it's either just neutral or it's bad. Anyway, I only have a small scope of his interactions, so
yeah.
But boy, we need him, because if we don't have him, we can't get episode 5 to work properly. So we have to have him.
Yuck.
Okay. So at this awesome Rager into the world party at the end of the day, do y'all have anything to say about the interaction with Frank at his? We haven't really talked about Rachel that much, and I guess that'll come up more towards the end of episode 4. But
I mean, the mystery I alluded to earlier. It starts building, right? I mean, obviously it weighs on Chloe's mind, and Max wants to help Chloe.
Yeah. So
it comes down to how well have they crafted the mystery at this point, episode 4, and they kind of start trying to push. This is kind of the last arc of the story, and they're trying to push it in a particular direction to try to make it so that the big reveal in episode 4 makes sense. And I don't know. I wasn't really caught up at that point for the Rachel thing. I think that the Chloe relationship is still what people were caring about more.
Yeah.
Right?
I cared about Rachel because Chloe cared about Rachel. That was all the reason
exactly.
why.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, like I think at the very beginning of this game, I was like, oh, I hope that this is gonna be a Twin Peaksy thing. Like that was my immediate response. It's like you start off the game with like missing girl who was like the super popular, super talented, super everything amazing girl who maybe was involved in things that people didn't expect her to be involved in. I was like, oh, this is like Twin Peaksy. But then she stays way too out of the spotlight.
Yeah.
It felt like she was way too invisible.
Mm-hmm.
Like her her like being gone was not palpable in the town or in anybody except for Chloe, which I think is part of Chloe's frustration, but it ends up just translating to this is like a Chloe thing rather than this is something that everybody is feeling.
Right.
So
it has nothing to do with the main tension about what, you know, the supernatural phenomenon that will mess up the world is going to happen. It doesn't have anything to do with like your powers even, right? It's just there. It's not, it's almost barely a driving, you know, impetus.
Yeah.
In the
also like from the first episode, you've got like world-ending feeling stuff too. It's like,
yeah. Did that play into any of your thoughts? Because it didn't for me. Because I was like, I don't really know what I can do to affect a giant tornado, so I'm just gonna roll with whatever is actually happening that day. I don't know.
I mean, I think they flashed to it once or twice in the course of episodes 1 through 4, but it's not really like you're just like, oh, I'll leave it be. I mean, they'll explain why it's happening.
They're like little reminders though that talk about like end of the world, because like the snow and then the eclipse and then like the double moons, and so I feel like, I don't know, is like, am I causing these things to happen by using my powers, or is it like time space continuum ripping? I don't know, but
well, that goes into episode 5.
Yeah, so that whole thing with I liked actually the little storyboard and kind of looking through the clues and the kind of finding out where to go at the end. That whole little sequence was entertaining for me. I don't know. I like the whole detective work thing. I don't know how y'all felt about it. Was it
you like to Life is Beautiful it up?
Yeah. Exactly.
It was fun.
Yeah.
Yep. Agreed.
Yeah, that room was creepy. Warn Victoria. So, did y'all get Victoria to believe your warning? Because I didn't, and I'm not sure what I should have done to change that. I didn't actually rewind on that one.
I did.
I did not.
Yeah, she believed me. I don't specifically remember how I did that.
Right. It could have been earlier things, maybe because you comforted her too. Maybe she was more willing. You had better options on what to tell her. I don't know. But I never had a great relationship with Victoria, so it's probably.
I mean, my relationship with her wasn't great, but it was probably more sympathetic than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
Dan, we're probably going to get into like heavy spoiler zone here.
He's muted and deafened right now.
Okay.
So he's not listening now even.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, at that point I was like, regardless of how I feel about you, Victoria, you don't deserve to wander into this whatever horrible situation I think is happening.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like, just as a human being, I don't think you should go there, but that was my motivation. I don't know how she believed me, but she did.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so I guess we can say here, major spoilers incoming if you are watching or listening. Major spoilers for episode 5, and the whole story are coming up. So you realize that when you're in the dark room that Rachel was buried somewhere. You go and you find that there is something in a garbage bag that's been buried in the junkyard, and so you assume it's Rachel because it smells like a decomposing body. So you're trying to kill Nathan. He texts you about destroying her body. You go to the junkyard again. And then, of course, the thing that I had feared the whole game was, what if someone tries to take me out first? Then I can't use my power. And that's exactly what happens. You get a injection in the neck, can't rewind time, and then you watch Chloe get shot in the head by Mr. Jefferson.
Mm-hmm. Did you ever trust a Jefferson?
So did you guys see that coming the first time we played through?
I was very suspicious of him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I knew it wasn't David, right? So that was just like it was like red flag. It's got to be David. It's like, no, it can't be David. That's
crazy. Wait, you thought it was gonna be David, not Nathan?
No, I'm saying that was what the game wanted you to believe at a certain point. It's like this creepy stalker guy is like got tabs.
Oh, okay. I thought you meant at the junkyard.
No, not
just in general.
I'm in general the story arc.
Mm-hmm.
So like, who could it be? It has to be someone probably male if they wanted to go with that kind of personality. So it has to be Nathan or Mr. Jefferson.
I thought it could have been Steve, the guy who worked on the campus, like the custodian guy, but apparently.
But
not.
it goes back to like the choice in the end of episode 2, right? They clearly wanted to lay out who they wanted.
Right, the 3 people there who you're accusing.
Successful 3 question.
Yeah.
And it really could only be Mr. Jefferson at a certain point. I remember Christy was watching and she's like, "Yeah, totally was him. It was never going to be anyone else." I was like, "Yeah, you're probably right."
I mean,
go
ahead.
They do a lot of foreshadowing to it, right? And it goes into the beginning of episode 5 when she like flashes back to what he says. Like they perfectly crafted a line of dialogue on purpose, like Agatha Christie or Sherlock Holmes style.
Yeah.
That if you twist it, if you think about it again, then it's not the greatest thing. It's a big clue about his personality.
Which line are you referring to?
I could paint any of you girls into a dark corner and bring out the most beautiful part of you, something like that. It's like I could put any of you in a dark corner. It's like the first line that's said when she goes into this flashback, the slow flashback, like what's happening mode in episode 5. And it was a dead giveaway if you think about that line similarly.
Right. I think the game started like pushing him to the front of the story a little more as it went on. Sometimes it didn't feel like natural. It's just like, oh, he pops up again to talk to you. Oh, here he is again. And like when he shows up at the party, I mean, yeah, I guess he was announcing the winner of the Everyday Heroes contest, but I don't know, it just seemed weird that he was there. Like the game was trying to put him in your thoughts.
Like a weird drinking drug party, and
right?
Yeah.
Like teacher is there. I was like, what?
Way too cool, man. There's just no way. The exact line is, I could take any of you and put you in a dark corner to take someone at the height of their beauty and show them helpless.
Oh, jeez.
And any of you can also do that to me. So it's like trying to show that it's either way. But if you just hear those 2 lines and then think about what's happened, you're like, damn, it was that guy all along.
Yeah. I loved how at the party, though, he's like started talking and people are like, you can hear them yelling, "You're so hot," and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's pretty funny. There are a lot of good little touches like that throughout the entire episode. So it's just like, Don't Nod is definitely a good. I look forward to the next game, but they definitely have a good thing going here.
I think this is probably my favorite episode, just as far as the storytelling and the major events and the reveals.
The fifth one?
No, the fourth. Sorry, fourth.
Oh, the fourth one.
Yeah. So, I mean, when it showed him at the end, it was like, dang, it was Mr. Jefferson. Of course, you could tell, like, when you see, it shows his feet first, and it slacks. So I'm like, oh, that's Mr. Jefferson.
I mean, the 4th episode feels like this is, like, we talked earlier about how, was that the 3rd episode is the, like, character piece episode?
Yep, with Chloe.
Yeah, and now you get to the 3rd episode, and it's like, no, like, you have that beginning part where it's like what are the limits of my powers thing, but then it quickly is like, now we're getting to plot. Yep. 4th episode feels like it's setting things up in the second half, and then the last episode is just like all over the place.
Yeah, that kind of bothered me about the last episode. It felt like the end of the Lord of the Rings movie, where it's like, I thought it was going to end like a lot more times than it did, sort of deal. So it's just like, oh, it just keeps going. Like this, they're still adding stuff to this. So
I was definitely disappointed in episode 5. I mean, I did say at the outset of all this, I like the game. I do still like the game. I don't like the ending.
Yeah.
I don't like how they ended episode 5. But one last thing about episode 4, Warren takes that photo in this episode.
Yes.
You gotta have the photo because you know immediately when he takes that photo. I saw immediately. I'm like, this photo is going to be important. We have to go back to this time.
This time spot, yeah.
We must go back to this time.
I was a little confused on, okay, you know when she like first resets the time and he ends up in jail, and you're like, wow, that wrapped up way too nicely. Like there's no.
You probably want to jump to episode 5 for the choices now.
Oh
right?
yeah. Actually, I don't have them on this one because I didn't actually finish it on PC. I also played it on PS4, so I don't have that on. I didn't finish the run through.
There's like David got a scar during the fight, or didn't get a scar during the fight.
Yes. Which is inconsequential, right?
I got the he didn't get a scar, but yeah, it feels inconsequential.
Yeah.
David killed Jefferson or didn't kill Jefferson.
Yep.
And then there's like, you saved the trucker, you saved Ethan, you saved Alyssa, you saved the fisherman.
Right, so it's just like going through the town.
Yeah. Joyce either believes in David again or doesn't.
Mhm.
Did you tell Rachel the truth about Frank? And
Other way around, Frank. Truth about Rachel to Frank. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And then showing Warren affection. I did not show Warren any affection. Shock. He was like, "How about a hug?" And I was like, "Back off."
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like, a lot of those choices seem really inconsequential to me.
Yeah.
Like,
compared to all the other ones you've made, and I guess it's maybe because they don't have time to show the consequences for it. It's kind of like wrapping these up, but
Yeah, they had to hurry. I felt like they could use one more episode to really, or they just ran out of ideas on how to actually stretch this out. But there was serious problems. I mean, we're talking about. I'm going to step away from the narrative here and just talk about the game itself. We're talking about the stealth sequence. What the heck? Don't game developers out there. If you somehow find this podcast for some reason, please don't cram random stealth mechanics in your game for no reason.
Especially a game like this.
Of all games, to randomly have a stealth sequence in the very end? Why? Why?
And the worst part about a stealth sequence is that you still have like little, conversation nuggets and like dialogue options and internal things. You want to go do that, but you can't because like you have to dodge these things. Right. You can't really go to a locker room because you're getting chased by Nathans. Multiple Nathans.
So it's like punishing you for doing what you've been doing the whole game and trying to get as much information as you can.
I actually thought that sequence was like a decent of like going back through your like history. Like it was kind of a cool way of showing that, but actually playing it was not fun.
Oh, are you talking about the walking through the memory lane, walking down memory lane? Yeah. The literal walk down memory lane? No. I really hated that as well. I thought it was very heavy-handed. I didn't feel like this one element of storytelling, you never want to flash back because that means you distrust the person who's watching the narrative to remember. But in a game that should be memorable, in a game where choices matter and are weighty, why do that? That's almost just prolonging the game for no reason. They needed more time.
Something that's maybe hard to get into the mindset, though, is that this is episodic. Like, it could have been months and months after you started. But nowadays, we're accustomed to, like, even TV shows not having that. Like, well, you're just going to rewatch that episode or not. Like, it's up to you.
And this came out well after, like, even Breaking Bad, where which would at least set the narrative tone of television. And this could have just relied on that fact that if you had a rabid fan base, don't insult your fan base by having to do this. Just go ahead and tell more story or flesh out the characters more or explain why this side character is necessary or whatever, right? Just don't. I just felt like it was a waste of almost like 30 minutes of my life after walking down this thing.
Yeah. It's kind of like playing, what was it, Metal Gear Solid 5, where you're Solid Snake and you're like crawling through the hospital, avoiding people, like literally crawling because you can't walk yet, sort of mechanic. Like, oh my gosh, why is this taking so long? Yeah.
But yeah, episode 5 was a whirlwind for certain, and they do finally get you to where why this supernatural thing is going to occur, and I think that's the only choice in this game. The other ones are minor choices. This is
you mean that episode.
In that episode, there's literally only one choice if you pull up this journal page.
Yeah, it is.
Well, I mean, then you can scroll and you see the rest of the choices.
Yeah,
but,
right.
Yeah, the other choices feel a lot like we're seeding the ending montage. Like, will the fishermen be there or not? Who cares?
Right.
But will they be there in your like final montage or not?
Your epilogue montage,
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, sadly, it's all about the like big choice, and yet that choice feels like a non-choice to me. I mean, what did you guys decide with that choice?
I did the initial choice. The initial choice was to what did I do?
Do you sacrifice the town or do you sacrifice Chloe?
I sacrificed the town first. Because I felt that was more important.
Really?
Wow.
the whole freaking episode. I've been telling the same theme over and over again, right? The whole show is based off of you have to cultivate this relationship. And I understand the whole tragic heroine, tragic thing, this is the biggest thing that grinded my gears about that. I did that Sacrifice Arcade ending, and it sucked. It was. Did y'all do that ending?
I read about it. Don't you just like drive off with her and she smiles or something?
Was
like, that's it.
So garbage. It was literally 45 seconds of you watching the wreckage of the town of what you're like. Man, I really shouldn't have done that. And then roll credits. I'm like, dude,
Make
what
you think
the?
about that. Well, that's what you get, David. That's what you get when you sacrifice the whole town. What do you expect, dude?
To me, that ending, like that choice felt like a non-choice because it was like the game is basically telling you this is the wrong choice.
Mm-hmm.
You shouldn't do this. If you do this, you're actively like rejecting everything we've taught you in this game.
Oh no,
which I guess is why you expected something better.
Anyway.
Yeah, I guess that explains your disappointment then. But
yeah, I did it anyway because I said, screw you, game creators. I know exactly which way you want to go with this, and I don't agree.
I mean, they should make it good or not at all.
Right,
but still.
And then you go through the Sacrifice Chloe ending, right? The ending is like long, laborious.
The real ending.
Weighty. Yeah, the real ending. The only ending is real. It's weighty. It's like rough. You just crying in the corner. That's pretty bad, dude. It's pretty bad. And it's so long. And why?
It doesn't make you feel good about,
Why is this the ending? And why does that think that that's appropriate?
Yeah.
Like, this ties into some more criticisms of other people, on the internets who say like this is just another way to have the tragic gay couple will never be together the ending, and people feel for it because that's been used in literature and media so much that it's kind of the standard trope to use in this case. Mm-hmm. It's not possible for two strongly independent women who are massively compelling to keep their relationship.
There's one where wait, which one is the one you can get them to kiss?
I
remember reading about it. I didn't.
What was that?
I don't know. There's one where you can get like a passionate kiss.
Oh, that's when you sacrifice her.
It is when you sacrifice her. Okay.
Yes, so I did. Because when I played through the second time, I made sure to get that ending because I'd seen it on YouTube and I was like, oh, how do you do this? And I was like, oh, okay, I see.
Let's see, sacrifice Chloe. Yeah, if Max and Chloe did not kiss, I know. If they meet the in love condition, Max kiss Chloe. Total number of certain decisions Max made in Chloe's favor is greater than or equal to 1. They will share a passionate kiss on the cliff. So I don't know. Okay, so I feel like that I didn't even really think about that too much, like not realistically, until I was reading these like other spoilers of other choices. Like I always in the back of my head kind of wondered like, are they like more than friends? Like were Rachel like. I kind of got the feeling that Chloe was in love with Rachel, but I don't know. Was there things that I missed that like showed that they were like in love? Max and Chloe.
The prequel.
The prequel.
In the game, it's definitely applied, right? There's that secret fort. The secret fort that they had had like a lot of what were more than friends, like attributions to each other. I think.
I think a lot of it. Well, a lot of that feeling comes from when she finds out that Frank had those like photos of Rachel,
right?
And she gets really, really upset about it.
Yeah, so that I can see,
like more than necessary, right?
So I can see that like the Chloe Rachel aspect, but like the Max Chloe aspect. Was there a lot of
No, but that's the whole point of episode 3, right? There's a budding relationship, and it's like she's rekindled perhaps a closer friendship than she thinks. And the Rachel thing is kind of like a prelude to what is the real relationship for Chloe. The separation that they had hits hard on her, and it shows actually at the beginning of actually all of the prelude that I played through. Which was a whole 2 hours, but yeah, there's just a lot of bits about how she really misses Max, and
I guess I never saw it from Max's perspective, maybe because I was also warmer towards Warren than y'all were, but I guess it didn't necessarily. I guess that's one example then of how our playthroughs are kind of different. We viewed the characters in a different way. I don't know. So.
I just remember the scene that really sealed it was when they went skinny dipping and they had that that indie. I mean, the whole game is indie rock, but they had that indie pop song playing while they're like swimming. I'm like, oh yeah, they're definitely trying to set the mood here.
I don't know. Isn't that what girls do? Like They have like pillow fights in their underwear, and then they go skinny dipping.
I'm
and
sorry.
they-
Did you run with a different crowd at Clemens than I did? 'Cause-
I,
I mean, the game does not like make that have to be what happens, though. It can just be a
Right.
like strong friendship.
yeah, which is how I saw it.
Yeah.
So.
I don't think there's any. I don't think one is necessarily correct or not correct.
Mhm.
I think the ending where you save Rachel is incorrect.
You mean Chloe?
Or Chloe, yeah.
yeah.
I was like,
Oh,
whoa,
yeah,
you
no,
say Rachel? What?
No, Chloe.
Definitely incorrect. Still didn't give a damn.
I mean, it feels like the entire game, to some degree, is trying to tell you, like, that very first decision you made when you rewound time, that first time, was a mistake. Like, even if you want to change things, there are things that you can't change, and you just have to live with. And as much as you try to, like, repair things that got broken, they're broken, and you can't do it. And there will be fallout forever, and you will never get to a good place. It will just be bad. And you got to deal with it.
I agree with thematic elements. I disagree with how they crappily threw this ending together.
Yeah. I mean, it's why put a choice in if it's not a good choice? Like,
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah, and apparently, according to David, even if you pick it, it doesn't feel like it was worth it. So, yeah.
Yeah.
It was probably the most disappointing I've ever seen in my life. But hey, the prelude was supposed to
It's
spice
no
it up, right?
Undertale ending, we'll say that.
I've played worse endings. That's for sure.
All right, well, let's just put it this way. It was the most disappointing ending for a game I invested a lot of interest into and felt
Yeah.
like there was something good about it.
Yeah. But well said, Boyer, well said. I think.
Mhm.
All right, any, I don't know, I gotta go soon too. I figured maybe we won't necessarily talk about the prequel too much since it's just you two guys and who have played it. You guys okay with that? Can we
I'm
wrap
just gonna
up
say
here?
one thing.
Go ahead.
Yeah,
Well,
having Chloe as the main character sucks. Okay, like I try to play this with Christy, and the first time she made some terrible joke about like in the kitchen about, oh, look at this is a ashtray that where that, and then she made like some terrible joke. Christy's like, just mute this. I can't listen to this garbage. I was like, you know what? You're right. And I turned off the PS4. I was like, this is
Dang,
not worth playing. I
Wow.
can't deal with her.
man. I actually liked the prequel a lot. And I like Chloe as a main character, even if it feels less middle of the road. It's like one of those things where you're having to inhabit someone who's gonna be kind of an asshole, and then you're gonna have to deal with the fallout of that. Like, you do those things, and then it's like, she doesn't really feel good about that either.
Yeah.
Like, she's just raging out as a teen.
Oh yeah. I can see that. Yeah, but
I love the fact that game does not have the rewind mechanic.
Because it wouldn't make sense. if she
Well,
did.
yeah, but it made me realize, like, the rewind mechanic is super cool in Life is Strange, but it also, like, I don't know that they really justified it with the, like, they never explained the weird supernaturally stuff.
Mhm.
Mhm,
She just kind of has it.
mhm.
Like, I like it as a functional thing, but as a I don't know. I liked not having it. I was worried about how that was going to work, but I actually liked having it. Also, that game is dark as shit. Probably darker than normal Life is Strange.
Yeah, I gotta go back and play it. I just couldn't do it before I had to go on a work trip and obviously this thing. But I will get back to it.
The sad part is it feels like a kind of low budget spin-off. Like,
Well,
it's not made by Don't Nod. Like,
Yeah. No, there's huge problems with that, right? Yeah, Don't Nod didn't do it, so like I don't know how much I want to trust this as canon. It probably still is, but whatever. And just a little inside baseball here. They didn't have the same voice actresses because of the Writers Guild strike for the voice actors strike of the video game developers, video game developers. So like I listen to David. I'm like, I don't want to listen to this guy talk. He sounds so robotic. I listen to Chloe. I'm like, this doesn't sound like the person I remember. She's like she's kind of throwing herself at trying to be snarky, but it's not the same level. So
it's not as good. At the same time, like,
it'd been a while, so I hadn't like just played them back to back, and this is like several years prior. So
No.
I was like, this is younger version. Okay, whatever. I don't know. Yeah, like I wish that it had actually. It feels like it does not have the budget of the first game, which is a shame.
All right. Well, I hope y'all enjoyed playing it or playing it again if you played it again. I know I definitely did. School game. I originally bought it with Game Club in mind the first time we were trying to do this, which was like a year or two ago or whatever that was.
Same with Undertale.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, it was fun. I definitely need to play more games like this, and I liked playing it. Some of it when I played with Elizabeth. She was over, and I mean, she does game now too, but she was definitely into it, and she wants to go and play through it now. She was even saying, totally unsolicited, she's like, I want to play this and make different decisions, because some of your decisions I wouldn't have done the same thing. So that's great.
Warren, she's like, fuck Warren.
Dude, he called himself Warren G. That's legit.
So good. So good. We touched on this before, but the significant other aspect of this game was strong, very strong. There was two other friends I knew who had their wives and the husbands play together, and they had a blast. So anyone, Life is Strange, definitely a thumbs up for couples gaming.
For sure, because it's not even gaming; it's like watching Netflix.
Right, exactly.
And yeah, basically. I think that speaks to how compelling it is as a story.
Yep, which to me kind of encompassed what Game Club is about. So, but we'll see. Next month we have what is the title? Something about
I Have No Mouth, But I Must Scream by Dan. Oh, yes. Dan is back now. Dan,
By Dan.
Yes.
By Dan.
So yeah, I'll send out the doodle, and I'll do the logistics of getting everyone together.
Sweet.
But I also kind of, I specifically wanted to do a retro title, so I was kind of scouting around with that in mind, but really the same vein as the other two. It's like, yeah, it's a Game Club game right here. But I think it should be interesting because it'll be, I think it comes from this weird era where the content in video games wasn't quite as monitored as closely, so it's got some torture / horror elements to it. But yeah, I'm excited to do it.
I know, I'm excited too.
Yes, so tune in for that one if anyone's listening, and hopefully we'll see you next time. This has been the MHP Game Club for Life is Strange.